We've got a whirlwind of an adventure to share with you. A trip that took us from the sandy shores and sunny beaches we call home to the heart of the glitz and glamour of Tinseltown. We're talking pathways and perspectives, a flight from LAX to LPIA. We packed our bags, boarded a flight, and headed to the city of stars, Los Angeles. JetBlue has just opened up a non-stop route from LAX to LPIA, and we were there to catch the very first flight. But before we soared through the skies, we took some time to soak in the sights and sounds of the City of Angels. We connected with a fellow Bahamian doing remarkable things and sat with a city's beloved mayor, where he unraveled just what to expect out of his beautiful city. So fasten your seatbelts, put your tray tables in the upright and locked positions, and prepare for an episode filled with adventure, insights, and the magic of Hollywood. Welcome to On the Record. I'm your host, Jerome Sawyer. We find ourselves in the vibrant city of Los Angeles, and you might be wondering, why Los Angeles? What's the buzz all about? We're here to unravel the significance of an event, the inaugural flight from LAX to LPIA, courtesy of JetBlue. But this isn't just about a new route. It's about the ties it forges between Los Angeles and the Bahamas and the economic ripples it creates on both shores. Now, to shed some light on this groundbreaking development, we're privileged to have Nakia DeVoe-Christie, the Director of Marketing of the Nassau Paradise Promotion Board. Nakia brings a wealth of insight into what this event means for both economies, how it's not just a flight, but a bridge between cultures, tourism, and commerce. So Nakia, I don't know if I should say welcome to LA or you should say welcome to LA, or we just say welcome to our viewers.
Yes, but, welcome to LA.
But just disclaimer, you can't be in LA without wearing the Hollywood style shades. So, you know, that's where we are. We are here at an exciting time as JetBlue is introducing now this direct service from LAX to the Lynden Pindling International Airport. First of all, what does this mean for the for our market to be able to have access now, direct access to the West Coast?
Well, you know, the Nassau Paradise Island Promotion Board has always been committed to supporting the increase in airlift, right? And one thing that's very important for us is diversifying our markets, right? To make sure that we have resilience and we keep seeing an increase in those visitor numbers. We're experiencing a great boom and we want that to continue. And now we have new and exciting markets like LA, right? LA is closer than you think. We've been seeing that traditionally the West Coast market will travel to Hawaii because it just seems that much closer. But now with this direct flight, you can get here just as quick as you can get to Hawaii. So we're looking forward to welcoming a lot more visitors from LA. And now Bahamians could just hop on this flight about 5 hours and 12 minutes and come on over here to LA, right? So we are now celebrating connecting coasts and cultures, and we're really excited about that.
And you know, this is an opportunity to get in that geography lesson if you forgot, because if you look at where LA is placed strategically, it is also, I guess, a staging point for a lot of your Asian markets who may be looking to get to our side of the world as well. So it's a good connecting point as well.
It's a great connecting point. And we boast about our connecting flights, right? Over 35 we have, and now we could add LA to that, which opens us up to even more of these markets. And we're really looking forward to seeing some new people come on over and visit us in Nassau Paradise Island.
You know, Nassau Paradise Island, even the islands of the Bahamas rely typically on the northeastern United States, even a little bit, I would say, some of the Midwest, but now you have the Western market. Any idea on what these visitors may be looking for in terms of, vacation opportunities when they come to us?
Yeah, so this is a little more of a high-end market, right? And we have a lot of high-end offerings in Nassau and Paradise Island for them. So we're looking good, right? Of course, Baha Mar. Over on Paradise Island, we have Atlantis and Ocean Club. Goldwind just opened up. So we have these boutique properties like Grey Cliff. So much offering for the LA market. A little different visitor than we've been seeing on the East Coast. We have now these more high-end, more luxury, all of the stars and all of those sort of who's who, like you in your Hollywood shades, are here in LA. And we have so much to offer to every type of traveler, including this new high-end market.
So that's my next point. LA is infamous for, it's Hollywood Walk of Fame. Movies are made here. This is where the stars live. All the great entertainers come out of Hollywood. And so now it would seem like a lot of the folks who are either involved or whether they're directly or indirectly related now have access to the Bahamas, which, let's be honest, we have our own place in terms of stardom and a luxury or a luxurious destination.
Yeah, definitely. So that direct access, and we're looking forward to seeing, our entertainment industry, have a little boost. We have so much culture that we could share that maybe we could influence, and we'll start seeing more in Hollywood. This is a great opportunity, not only for us as a promotion board and the visitors, but for Bahamians in general, for the culture, for all of the opportunities, small businesses, and for our artists. Right? We have so much creative Bahamians, and hopefully that they will have this direct access now to Hollywood.
But JetBlue is the first airline. There's Alaskan Air too that's looking to do the same route. That's almost unheard of when you have two airlines looking to bring direct service so close together.
Yeah, we are ecstatic. We couldn't believe it because this is the first. And not weeks after we made that announcement, Alaska Airlines comes right behind to announce that they're doing seasonal airlift direct from LA and Seattle. And this is great news for us, and this has been months in the making, negotiations, joint marketing efforts, and now we can finally welcome to the Bahamas, welcome to Nassau and Paradise Island.
There's another component to this as well. The LA is a good staging point if you want to get to Vegas. For all the Vegas junkies out there, I want to use that as an opportunity to talk really about how our people can really maximize this route and what we can do as Bahamians to come and experience some of this as well.
Yeah, once a week to hop on over to LA. I was actually, when I in the airport checking in, and people were asking, what are you going to do in LA? And I was saying, the inaugural flight is coming, and we love that so many Bahamians have already heard about it. Mm-hmm. They know about it, and everyone's like, I can't wait. I'm going to go over and have lunch in LA, and I'm going shopping, and so many great opportunities here as well as a Bahamian to shop, to see the Hollywood Walk of Fame, where one of our greats, so Sydney, his name is down there, his star is there. A lot for Bahamians to do, and we're happy that we've provided that access on both ends.
This is a banner year for tourism for us. One of the great things the ministry has touted already is that we've exceeded our best year in tourism, which was 2019. From the promotion board standpoint, what continues to fuel that success?
Well, the offering, right? The islands of the Bahamas, including Nassau and Paradise Island, it's unmatched, unbeaten. And then, of course, we have really dedicated officials at the Ministry of Tourism, at the Promotion Board, who are all looking to get out there. We're talking in the market. We're always out there marketing on TV, going to trade shows. We're working together, joint efforts to bring in new airlift. And I think other than just having a great product, because you can have the great product, we're talking to the people, getting them there, showing them. Just on this JetBlue flight, for example, we're bringing over about 10 travel media and some influencers to experience it for themselves so they can go back and tell the story, right? They can go back and talk about what they experienced and spread that word. So I think we're doing a great job getting out there, connecting with people, having great product, and of course, I cannot forget the Bahamian hospitality. Our people do it well, we're welcoming, and we love to make sure that visitors are enjoying their stay.
Does this now mean too that you're going to have to put a little extra focus on advertising and marketing in this market? I know, for instance, you guys did a great job at Times Square in New York City and other markets. Does it mean now you're going to have to put a little extra into the marketing on this end?
Oh yeah, we've done that. So our CEO and our VP of marketing, they have been out there already. We have we had a wonderful initiative with Condé Nast Traveler, where they came down to experience, and they had us all over social media talking about what you can get in Nassau and Paradise Island once JetBlue flights start. So we started well before the flight started.
So the buzz is already started.
The buzz has been out there. We've been on TV, on radio. Like I said, we've had influencers coming in, and we're out there paying a lot of attention, and we actually have an initiative coming up. So it doesn't stop now that the flights have started. Now that they're here, we have to support and continue spreading the word about why it's better.
So we're only here for a very short time, of course, as a part of this inaugural flight. So I have to ask you, any Rodeo Drive shopping?
Well, hopefully, if you're coming with me to assist with the funding.
Somebody got to borrow a card then. Nakia, thank you very much for speaking with us. Looking forward to what this all means for us, and you guys continue to do a great job in selling Nassau Paradise Island, and keep up the good work. And I certainly will, so I will encourage you to enjoy just a little bit of LA while you're here.
I'll do my best. And we've been telling visitors that LA is closer than you think, but Bahamians, LA is closer than you think. So just hop on that flight, JetBlue, the first direct service to LAX.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The much anticipated flight was scheduled for the following day, so we decided to make the most of our time in Los Angeles. And what better way to do so than by driving headfirst into the vibrant tapestry of this city. We got a glimpse into a city through the eyes of someone who doesn't just navigate its streets, but has seen its very heartbeat change over the years. Our driver for the day isn't just a guide to the best spots, she's a resident of Inglewood. And her insights offer a unique perspective on the evolution of this vibrant city. As we cruised through the streets, she painted a vivid picture of the transformation Inglewood has undergone from its humble beginnings to the bustling community it is today. She's witnessed the rise of new landmarks and weaving together of diverse cultures that make Inglewood what it is. So Claudine, tell me, first of all, how is it that you came to live in Inglewood?
I came to live in Inglewood because when I moved here, I was looking for a place that was convenient to the airport, but also convenient to everything else I liked to do when I was a young 20-something-year-old single woman, and somewhere affordable, to be honest. And when I got here, it was so much more than just an affordable city. It was also a very welcoming and loving environment where people spoke to one another, things I just look forward to.
For most of us that know anything about LA, we know it through the lens of the media or things we see on movies. But this is a much different view, I think, of what people really have prior to coming here.
We are families. I am married with 3 children, 3 teenagers. Say a prayer for me. And I've raised my family here in Inglewood. I feel like this is an environment where people thrive because they have a community. I'm not saying that that's not the case all over LA, but I'm partial to Inglewood.
And what have you noticed in the past few years in terms of the transformation of the city that makes it so attractive, even more attractive than when you first moved here?
Well, obviously there's discomfort that comes along with any change for all of us, right? But the things that I've actually appreciated about the town changing over the years is that there's more jobs. My kids work now, so they have places where they can get a job. It's also been nice to see different people experience what I know to be a great neighborhood, a great community.
It's also a great entertainment and sports center as well. You guys have lots of teams, concerts, that kind of thing. Tell us a little bit about, what that experience is like.
Well, it can be both good and bad. When you have concerts and games on the same day and you're a resident, you really have to plan around when you're going to leave your house and trying not to hit traffic. But one thing I always say is if you can't beat them, join them. So I've been going to more games, more concerts. My family and I, we've been enjoying the entertainment.
Sure. You, as a fitness instructor, you do something very unique in that you provide something that people pay for. So tell us a little bit about the work that you do in the community and why that's so important.
For many years, there weren't a lot of wellness resources, not a lot of fitness resources here in the city of Inglewood. So instead of complaining about it, I just got busy and got to work. So I went to the park, the local parks, and I started teaching free exercise classes for the whole family. And those classes just grew over the last, let's say, 10 years or so. And so now I've been instrumental in building a community of wellness enthusiasts. And we recently found out that a big gym is coming to Inglewood, and I'm so excited because we're going to have somewhere to work out.
What do you say to people who are looking to come to LA, maybe Inglewood specifically, have never been here and are looking for things to do? They're coming as tourists. What can they do? What is there here to do?
If I were talking to people who wanted to come to LA specifically, I would say take a look at the smaller communities. Take a look at one of the cities that surround LA and really get to know the culture. Here in South LA, here in Inglewood, we have a rich culture, arts, music, all kinds of different things, as well as entertainment.
Awesome. And are you looking forward to really what's happening in the city in terms of the growth, the potential, your stadiums? We just heard from the mayor about all the concerts and how many people came. Are you looking forward to really what is happening in the city with the growth?
I've been progressively getting more excited about the things that are coming here, but like many people, I was slow to warm. I'm not going to lie. I was slow to warm to the amount of people who are coming to our nice little small town kind of thing. But now that I'm able to enjoy the amenities, I'm really seeing that it's going to be a good thing for us.
We stroll down the iconic Rodeo Drive, taking in the glitz and glamour that has become synonymous with this legendary strip. Dodging rollerbladers along the Venice Beach boardwalk, we passed by Muscle Beach for a quick workout, and of course we soaked in the eclectic energy that pulses through the city's veins. And were we really there if we didn't see the landmark of all landmarks? The Hollywood sign, majestic, ever-present, a symbol that needs no introduction. But amid the sights and sounds of this bustling metropolis, one stop stood out: the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures. Since its opening in September of 2021, this museum has been a beacon for film enthusiasts worldwide. And we stepped into its grand lobby, a wave of Bahamian pride washed over us. Why? Because right there, in the heart of this cinematic haven, was a dedication to a familiar face: the late, great Sir Sidney Poitier. Sir Sidney's legacy, his impact on the silver screen, and the cultural significance he brought to the world of cinema were showcased in this hallowed space. It was a moment that connected the dots between Hollywood and the Bahamas, a reminder of the indelible mark made by individuals like Sir Sidney Poitier, transcending borders and inspiring generations. And with that, our anticipation for the flight back to the Bahamas was tinged with a deeper sense of appreciation for the ties that bind these two worlds together. On the other side of the break, we caught up with a Bahamian actor making waves in Hollywood, chatting about more than just red carpets and premieres. We delved into the recent writers and actors strike and got a glimpse into the communities being built in the city. Stay with us. You're watching On the Record. Welcome back. Our journey through the city of Los Angeles continues. We're in for a captivating conversation that delves deep into the world of entertainment. We're joined by a remarkable individual, Oral Ellis, a Bahamian actor hailing from the breathtaking island of Bimini. In a candid discussion, he talks to us about his talents, opening up about the realities, the challenges and triumphs experienced within the entertainment industry. Oral, first of all, tell us how you came to be in LA, what brought you here, and what is it that you do, as an actor? People hear the title actor, but what does that really and truly involve?
Well, it involves a lot of auditioning, and just putting in a lot of work. But like, what brought me here is I lived in Miami before, and the dream came to me, and I was pursuing it in Miami, but the industry wasn't really there. So I visited California a couple times, and then I was like, you know what, I think I want to pursue it in California. And then I moved here. And I told my parents I was going to be here for like 6 months, but I knew in my heart that I wasn't like going back. So I ended up staying and pursuing it, and like doors been opening and stuff like that. Like the first job I got, just led me to getting like good representation, and then I just started auditioning more, and like my first couple years, like doors started to open, and I was able to build relationships and stuff like that within the industry so I could get more opportunities. I did a show called Blackish, and on that show, well, that was one of the shows on my vision board, and you got to write the vision, make it plain, and that is something that I did. And during the renaissance of black television, which encouraged me to come to LA, because it was Empire, it was Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder, Blackish, and like I had all of those shows on my vision board, but Blackish was like the one in my heart, and I booked it. I didn't even think I was going to book it because I didn't feel like I was the right age, but I was like, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this audition, and they did like a recall. So I came in the second time, and later that day, my agent called me, and I was like, hello, and I'm like, what's up? And he was like, you booked the job. I was like, what? And it was shocking, but it still was something that I really wanted to do. That show, it was really a dream come true for me.
What is it like being a Bahamian in a town like this, where a lot of people come in trying to do the same thing that you're doing, and it's highly competitive? There's no guarantee. What is it like for you being that island boy in a city where you're really going off of talent, luck, and all kinds of other things?
Well, I feel like you have to have a foundation. You have to have faith, not only in God, but in yourself. And you just got to like be motivated. And those things is what keeps me. Those things are what got me. Those things got me to where I'm at today. And yeah, you just got to like my grandma used to say, keep on keeping on. Even like when it seemed hard, you just got to keep on keeping on and believe in yourself and believe that something is going to happen, and just keep going.
Is there a large Bahamian population here? And do you all keep in touch? Is there a movement? Do you rely on each other, or is it pretty much everyone for themselves?
Bahamians are funny people. So, yes, like when I first got here, I didn't know any Bahamians or anything like that. And I think it was like my first couple years, I thought I was probably the only Bahamian until I started running into Bahamians. Like I ran into someone at church. I was working at a casting office, and someone who's now my good friend, Bernica, she was Miss Bahamas, and I was helping with the session, and she was auditioning, and it came up that she was from the Bahamas, and like when you be like, you from the Bahamas, and you have that moment, and then you just keep in touch and stuff like that. But yeah, we've been building community out here, and it's a lot. It's a lot of us. Bahamians are ambitious people and resilient people, and we do like think outside of the box and like try and do other things. And you have, I feel like there's a list of us because it's a generation of Bahamians before us that a lot of us didn't know. So you have like the new generation and you have the old generation, and there's a list, and it's a few hundred. Um, a few hundred Bahamians in LA. So yeah, we're building that community, and we're trying to bridge the new generation and the old generation and bring all of them together.
Awesome. So, what does it mean now for you and others, and even family, who are going to be able to jump on a flight and fly directly home?
That's exciting. That's really exciting, and I'm very like excited because I've been going to Nassau a lot, over the last few years, and I always have to like stop in Florida or stop somewhere on the East Coast. And the fact that we can just get on the plane and leave from LA and land in the Bahamas is just an amazing opportunity, and I hope that as it goes on and on, like it becomes almost every day, I believe, because it's like once a week. They're starting off once a week. So hopefully it grows and stuff like that. And we really get to bring the West Coast to the Bahamas, because there's a lot of people like in the industry, or like even like friends that I've met outside of the industry that live in Los Angeles. They don't have that opportunity to just go directly to the Bahamas.
So that's my next question. Like, do you see this really as being an opportunity for Bahamians?
Yeah, definitely for Bahamians. So we could be able to go back home, more easier. It'll be easier for us to go back home. So yeah, I definitely think it's a great opportunity for us.
Okay, the fact that a lot of the big players now, the entertainers, etc., the movers and shakers, may see that as an opportunity. Hey, if it's a direct flight, I can get there in a few hours. Do you see that as creating some linkages and even having our people come here and experience more of what LA has to offer?
Yeah, definitely, because the world is huge, and there's so many opportunities in LA. So I work in the entertainment industry, and like my goal, my partner and I, my business partner and I, we have a production company, and that's something that we're building, trying to have a community here, a Bahamian community here, so like people from back home can come, and that community is already there with the resources, so they'll know how to strive and be successful in this industry. And like even like people have been reaching out to me from years ago, like from when I first got on Blackish and it went viral back home and stuff like that. Like people have been reaching out to me, so I've always been the place of resource, and for Bahamians who want to like pursue a career in Hollywood, and I just give them the information, like whatever advice and stuff like that that they need.
Sure. So that again, brings me to the other question I have in my mind about the opportunity. There are a lot of young people who want to get into entertainment, whether it be music, whether it be modeling and fashion, whether it be acting, whatever. They yearn for these opportunities, but they don't know how. They're just stuck there at the border, so to speak. So what do you say to those folks who are looking at this or looking at this opportunity now and want it, but just don't know how to achieve it or even how to start?
Well, the first thing to do is get in LA. Like, you have to be here to be a part of what's happening here, and put yourself out there. Like, reach out to people who are a part of the industry, people who can help. Because I didn't have it. You know, when I first came here, I didn't have anybody to reach out to. Okay. Yeah, when I first got here, I didn't have anyone to reach out to, so I had to figure out everything on my own. But for them, they're lucky enough to have someone like me and other people as well who have put in the time and made the mistakes and figured it out. Like, you can reach out to people like me to figure out how to pursue whatever it is you want to pursue in this town. You just have to be here to be a part of it.
Tell me a little bit about your production company and what it is that you all do.
So aside from being an actor, I am also a writer, and I've been writing some pilots and stuff like that. So we next year we're launching a podcast. It's going to be a Bahamians in Hollywood podcast. So that's going to be another place where people from back home can tune in, because there are a lot of us out here that do different things. You have people that do stunts. You have people that work for production companies. I know someone who's a graphic designer for Warner Media. So and she's a Bahamian. So there are so many resources and so many different parts of the industry where we can work. You don't only have to be an actor. You don't have to be a writer. You could be all the things behind the scenes, in front of the camera. So there are many opportunities, but you just have to have an idea of what you want to do and reach out to people and see how you can do that.
Final question. You have been affected by the strike, first the writer's strike and then the actor's strike. How have you been surviving?
I, as a Bahamian, we survive. We're resilient, and you also have to be a hustler. So like my granddaddy, he had all kind of different jobs and businesses. So I follow in those footsteps as well. For me, outside of with the industry being shut down right now, you just have to be creative. And you have to figure out other ways to make money, to pay your bills, because the bills doesn't stop. And outside of acting, I have my own business, and I'm a loan signing agent. So I do notary work and stuff like that to keep the lights on, and not to spend everything in my savings and stuff like that. But to live in Los Angeles, you have to be resilient. You have to have different side hustles and stuff like that, and not be ashamed to do those things, because everyone here, you see people on TV and stuff like that, but that's not all they do. They do way more than that. They do way more than just that.
On the other side of this break, we talk to a very special guest that contributed heavily in the city's success and the moment that we've been waiting for, the first flight. Stick with us. You're watching On the Record. This is On the Record. Welcome back. Before the day could end, we had the honor of sitting down with the mayor of this illustrious city of Inglewood, a place buzzing with culture and history. We talked about the city's growth, its vibrant community, and its role in the ever-evolving landscape of Los Angeles.
Mayor, first of all, thank you for just giving us this opportunity to speak. On behalf of the people of the Bahamas, we're happy to be here. Tell us a little bit about Inglewood. For most of us that live on that side of the world, the media talks about LA and all we see is Hollywood and everything around it, and then some other parts of it as well. But tell us about Inglewood.
Well, Inglewood is a 9 square mile city with 110,000 residents. We would be considered a mid-sized to small city in the county of Los Angeles, 88 cities. For comparison, the city of Los Angeles has 4 million residents, 400 square miles. We have more sports teams than they do now. We have 3 sports teams. And we have come from a city that was going to go out of business in 2011 to the city in the United States with a greater percentage of unobligated reserves, meaning like money in the bank, to its annual spending plan than any city in the country. We've gone from a BBB minus bond rating, which is one step above junk, and we could not bond to fix any infrastructure with that bond rating. It's like a credit score, to AA plus. And we are now a destination city. For a 9-day period in August, we had 6 Taylor Swift concerts and 3 Beyonce concerts. So this city of 110,000 base population had 770,000 people visit us in a 9-day period.
What's been your formula for success? How have you been able to turn this around?
Well, I'd say, first of all, when you say formula for success, first you have to come in with certain insights and qualifications. My master's in business, although I spent 37 years in law enforcement. But that 37 years in law enforcement and running 3 police departments taught me how to manage at an executive level. The MBA helped me to understand the mindset of people that invest money. And people that are going to invest multi-millions and billions of dollars, they equate political uncertainty with a risk of capital. And what do I mean by that? They look at council meetings, and they look at how the people on that council govern. They look at their insight when it comes to how things work holistically, because it isn't just politics. You have to have a business sense. You have to understand what it takes. There are 3 main things that cities do. They provide for public safety, they provide for the development and enrichment of children with schools and parks and recreation services, and they provide for infrastructure renewal. Those are your rock solid thing. Infrastructure renewal, cut the trees, rebuild the roads, the sidewalks. But the 4th dynamic is set a climate for economic revival, economic growth, and most people that are in elected office don't understand that. I do. And that's what we've done. So whenever I've negotiated, first negotiation was to reopen the Forum. When I left Inglewood, we had the Lakers, the Kings. Lakers loved in Bahamas. The Bahamas, they loved there. The Lakers, the Kings of hockey, where the racetrack was doing about 43,000 people a day, 6 days a week. We had the Airport Park Hotel. We had Zodi's, we had we had a Sizzler, the Big Donut, House of Pancakes. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of things, right? But mostly people would come here for the entertainment and they would leave. Now, when I came back 20 years later, all that was left was the Sizzler and the Big Donut.
Wow. And
an $18 million structural deficit.
Wow.
And impending financial collapse in 9 months of me taking office. And so we did a lot of tough things to straighten out our finances so that we could survive and provide that foundation. The first thing I did was contact Madison Square Garden to try and get the Forum reopened and convince them that this would be a great West Coast flagship for them. And so they invested $100 million in the Forum. We invested $18 million of our last redevelopment dollars in it. People said no one will ever come back to Inglewood for concerts. There's too much crime, too many gangs, too much poverty. Within 1 year, the Forum was the #1 concert venue in the state of California, #2 in the country behind the Madison Square Gardens in New York, and #3 in the world. So we got that foundation. From there, talked to the Raiders about them coming and buying land over here at Hollywood Park, because Hollywood Park had closed. And I found out that an NFL team will not relocate unless you have 3 things. You have to have an owner who wants to be here. Mark Davis wanted to be here. You have to have the financing, and you have to get the vote of 75% of the NFL. Okay? He didn't have those 2 things. So we moved on, later talked to Stan Kroenke. He had those things, but we had to get the vote of the NFL. It took 1 year of me being on the radio, television, talking with people in the league. There was a vote. Nobody got the 75% because our competition was the Chargers of San Diego and the Raiders of Oakland. And they were going to go to a project that would either be Farmers Field in Los Angeles or it would be a stadium in Carson, California on a landfill site. We won. And so then after we got the Rams, the Chargers followed. And then a year later, negotiated with Steve Ballmer. The Clippers followed. And then we had YouTube, the LA Philharmonic Youth Orchestra program. We negotiated with them to leave Los Angeles to come here. They're 50 yards away from us. The Girl Scouts of Greater Los Angeles talked them into leaving Marina Del Rey on a lease to buy in Inglewood. I said, you can own here, and then your building it'll double in value in the next 5 years. They did, and it did. Showtime just leased about 110,000 square feet in the north end industrial area of the city that people said nobody will ever come to the industrial area of Inglewood. Well, they don't say any of those the won't and Inglewood don't go together anymore. And so I like to say the only thing that's changed in Inglewood is everything. And I convinced Claudine in the gym to stay in Inglewood a long time ago. Right?
10 years ago.
That's right. I said, don't leave. I said, property's going to go up in value.
You've been able to take a city that was really on the brink of bankruptcy, nobody came to, and you've created all these great entertainment venues, sports stadiums. Some of them I drove by on the way here.
Well, I didn't create them. I'm just a good representative.
You're the guy who helped lead.
I convince people.
Convince
Right.
people to come.
There you go.
So you have all this going on. And it has really become an entertainment center. People are really into sports. They're into concerts, particularly in the post-COVID era now.
Let me tell you something interesting. The last thing that people will give up when the economy goes bad, the last thing they give up is their entertainment. People will always put aside money to be entertained. Well,
And running, you've got great venues, you've got great teams. What's next now to accommodate? Because you spoke about people coming and leaving. And I think the next step now is to get people to come and stay.
Well, actually, the interesting thing is that we've had a lot of mega housing developments come up, and we were a city that's 92 to 94% black and brown, and now we're getting diversity again, because what a lot of people don't know about Inglewood was that from 1922 to 1937, Inglewood was the Southern California chapter headquarters for the Ku Klux Klan. You could not buy if you were a colored person in Inglewood because there are covenants on every property that said you could not sell to a colored person. The first black buyers had to have white straw buyers buy for them, and that occurred in 1959, 1960. And they deeded the property over to them. And at that time, it was called integration. And so now that people of other races are coming back and see Inglewood as a bargain to purchase and live here, you say people come here, they want to live here and stay here. And then what people try to do to diminish that phenomenon is call it gentrification. Well, gentrification actually is a phenomenon that occurs when you have a depressed area and people of a higher socioeconomic status come in. They buy these depressed properties. They rehabilitate them. They live here. And they draw with them retailers that cater to that demographic. And now those properties increase in value. And people that formerly could afford those properties can no longer afford them, so they gentrify. That's not what's happened here. We've increased our own property values, right?
That's right.
And now we have generated generational wealth to pass on to our children. And so we welcome people that want to reintegrate the city, but we don't call it gentrification.
As that's going on, we're looking now to have, as I said at the top of this conversation, we're now trying to encourage Bahamians to come and visit. Maybe even
we want them to live here. We want them to live here.
What's going to be in place to make it more of a visitor-friendly city? You've
It's
got.
funny that you mention that.
Yes.
I'm on the Metro Board for Los Angeles. There's 12 people on the Metro Board, and it's a $14 billion annual operation that provides for mass transit production. The metro trains that you see, the buses. And what we're doing is we're trying to ambitiously complete a $2 billion project that we have achieved $875 million in grants for, and we are on the cusp of getting $1.2 billion from the Build Back Better program of the United States of America. And then we'll be able to build a connector that will connect to the K line from Florence and Market Street, go over Market Street, go over Manchester, and go over Prairie to make that connection so people can have a direct connect to our entertainment district. One of the fascinating things we found that during Taylor Swift concerts, the 6 days, ridership in Metro went up 35%. And so what does that mean? If you have a reason for people to use mass transit, it takes it out of the esoteric, nice thing for people that don't have cars, but something that's good for me because it makes my life easier. And that's what we hope to do is accomplish this connector. It's called a last mile connection.
What about your other facilities, hotels, restaurants, those kinds of things?
Well, those are, let me tell you something. You build it and they will come. I forget what's Field of Dreams. You build it, they will come. Let me tell you, we got an Aria Hotel that's going to be next to the Intuit Dome, which will be the Clippers Arena, right at Freeman and Century, which used to be a Trade Winds hotel. There's a mega hotel coming up there. There's a Hilton near Prairie and Imperial. There's going to be a 300-key hotel on the SoFi Hollywood Park Tomorrow property where SoFi is located. It's happening.
And with that, our adventure came to an end. We headed in to get some much-needed rest for the final leg of our voyage. When we come back, it's time, it's the moment that we've been waiting for, the inaugural flight. Stay with us. The anticipation was palatable as passengers gathered at LAX eager to embark on an historic journey that would bridge two vibrant worlds, the inaugural flight from LAX to Nassau. The atmosphere was charged with excitement as travelers prepared to board this new JetBlue non-stop route, promising a seamless connection between these two iconic locations. Arriving at LAX and checking in for this milestone flight was a breeze, adding to the buzz of expectancy among passengers. Yet, it wasn't just a simple check-in. It was an experience crafted to set the tone for the adventure ahead. As passengers gathered at the gate, they were greeted with more than just boarding passes. Breakfast, delights awaited, along with a delightful surprise, a swimming pig mascot, symbolic of the Bahamas' charm, adding a touch of whimsy and joy to the pre-flight activities. However, the excitement didn't stop there. The air buzzed with the vibrant beats and colorful displays of a Junkanoo rush hour masterfully orchestrated by the tourism's Director General and Aviation Director Kenneth Romer and his team, along with other tourism partners. This Bahamian tradition, a lively and spirited celebration, transported passengers momentarily to the rich cultural moments awaiting them at their destination. We had an opportunity to sit with the Deputy Director General and Aviation Director Kenneth Romer about his excitement.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to sit and chat. Begin by talking about the importance of this route. We're on the eve of the inauguration now of this JetBlue flight, bringing direct service from LAX to LPIA. Talk about the significance of this now, what this all means.
Well, first of all, I'm very, very excited to be sitting back with you and to see this day actually come to fruition. I think there is nothing more powerful than a time whose time has come. And so this has really been several years in the making and really forms a part of the government's policy positioning. And that speaks to the priority of the government as it relates now to increasing airlift, to diversifying our product, and how is it now that we engage airlines to explore new markets. So you would have heard our Deputy Prime Minister, who has been extremely ambitious in his approach of expanding airlift, speak to us focusing on the West Coast. This is a market that has been getting attention from many of our Caribbean competitors. The West Coast brings incredible opportunities for the Bahamas. There are some similarities in terms of its sense of culture, in terms of architecture, and in terms of the demand which we would have seen over the years. A lot of persons come from the West Coast, but ease of travel has been a deterrent from them coming into the islands of the Bahamas. And so they've been connecting again through our Midwest in many cases to come there. This opens up a major gateway for our destination, not just from your traditional US markets, but markets such as your Middle East, Africa, and other markets who, again, have this lure towards the West Coast. So this really is a realization of a policy decision. The Deputy Prime Minister, again, has given a very clear mandate of us increasing airlift. Earlier in this year, he had spoken about some 20% increase in overall tourism arrival numbers. That is very significant because when it comes to airlift, the overall global rebound would have pegged airlift recovery at the end of 2023 at about 90% pre-pandemic. The Bahamas has now exceeded that. So we have beat our 2019 levels. We are 100% recovery. And at the end of this year, we expect now our airlift to probably exceed 2019 by at least 10%. This is again very important to our destination because what drives our tourism economy is really stopover arrivals. Deputy Prime Minister would have just this past week made this grand announcement that we would have officially matched the 2019 7.2 million overall visitor arrival numbers, both in your sea arrivals and also your air arrivals. So this next 3 months in this year really is in a race for us to beat our own records. We're going to exceed the 8 million easily. But I think what persons need to understand is the importance of air stopover arrivals. Your cruise arrivals really bring the volume. Your air arrivals, not to be offensive again to cruise, but they bring the value. Sure. Cruise passengers spend probably 28 times less than your average air stopover arrivals. So this equates to heads and beds. This equates now to the unprecedented level of room occupancy we're seeing in our major hotels, Nassau, Paradise Island. This equates in our air stopovers to the significant growth we're seeing in our family islands. Your Eleuthera, your Exuma, that attracts none, your stopovers, your direct stopovers. So this is very important again for us. It's going to put heads in beds. It's going to put, first of all, seats in planes. It's going to put heads in beds. And it's going to put money in the Bahamian economy.
One of the things you talked about early on, though, was the point of connectivity that LAX brings, and the fact that that has been lacking on the markets. Are you looking now to also not just expand your American arrivals, but your international arrivals as well? Middle East, Asian markets, African markets, all those markets that you spoke to.
We have been on a mission, not just to intensify our presence in our key source market, the USA, but I think that persons would be very mindful that we have had several missions to the Middle East. These are not just casual trips. We have been intentional in our focus, and a lot of the discussions, even as we were to engage in signing memorandum of understanding, it speaks about how we could collaborate with other countries, for example, the Middle East, on intensifying their market presence to the islands of the Bahamas. So the Middle East, for an example, opens up Asia, it opens up Africa. They're very familiar again with the West Coast. So when the Bahamas speaks about direct airlift from the West Coast, it gets the attention not just of our key source market, the US, but the world are saying, great, we can take the Bahamas seriously. This is so significant for us. A few months ago, Cayman through their national airline, began direct service into Los Angeles also. We didn't have the amount of equipment at that time through our national carrier, the kind of craft, the long-haul aircrafts, to have direct airlift that Cayman would have thought at that time. So we thought it very important to partner with airlines who we have a sense of relationship with, respect. JetBlue was one of them. We are aware that Alaska Airlines, December the 15th, is going to be the other legacy carrier that brings now direct non-stop service. What this does is speaks to the level of confidence that legacy carriers have in the Bahamas as a destination. It's really going to open up the world. You're going to find it right now again, especially as we look at our Midwest. You'll find your Latin American market has a heavy presence there. So this inaugural and future inaugurals really is going to position the Bahamas again to be the leader in the region when it comes now to non-stop airlift to the Latin American and the Caribbean markets.
So obviously the interest of the Ministry of Tourism is to have those flights full coming from here, from LAX into LPIA. But I'm sure that there is also a desire by the airlines to reciprocate that, to have Bahamians and others coming on the return. Do you see this though as an opportunity now when it comes to travel for Bahamians now to have access to a West Coast that we would not have had readily? I mean, you're talking about connecting through Charlotte, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, New York maybe even. But now having that direct access, that opens up a whole other opportunity for our people to expand outside of, you know, those familiar markets for us.
This is all an exercise in reciprocity. Airlines who come to the Bahamas make a business decision. At the end of the day, they must see value in the decisions that they make when they invest heavily and engage new markets. JetBlue, Alaska Airlines, and others who are eyeing direct airlift, especially from the West Coast, understand that there is a natural relationship between the Bahamas and the West Coast. As a matter of fact, before a person ever even knew what the West Coast looked like, we all knew about the LA Lakers. That was the national team of the Bahamas.
I call them the Bahamian LA Lakers.
We look again at the natural presence of the Bahamas in Los Angeles. The amount of persons who have contributed to culture. We have a record-breaking, I believe, amount of persons who are residing here. We have persons established in the legacy of Sir Sidney Poitier and others who would have made them. There was a natural affinity 100 plus years ago. The first underwater film coming out of Hollywood was actually in Nassau. You would have seen the Pirates of the Caribbean shoot in Nassau. So there was a natural relationship. There was a natural sense of family that exists, I believe, between the Bahamas and Los Angeles. This gives Bahamians a time and an opportunity to have the experience of visiting the other part of the world, ease of travel. So this is reciprocity. This is a pendulum that swings both ways. We're creating an opportunity to get persons from the West Coast to the Bahamas, but at the same time, it gives Bahamians an opportunity to explore. I call it sister destination.
Sounds great. This, of course, is part of a strategic plan that you spoke to increase airlift. This is a great destination and a great expansion of routes. What else can we look forward to in terms of expansion of routes and also even the introduction of new airlines that have traditionally not been coming to the Bahamas, that are major players on the global stage? What kind of things can we look forward to in terms of getting more of those, I call them recognizable tails, on the runway?
This is all a part of a strategy. This is not the result of wishful thinking or even good luck. This comes as a result of meticulous planning, of us placing attention on strategic partnerships. In July of this year, we actually launched the first National Aviation Strategic Plan. It's an 8-pronged strategy, and one of the components is how do we increase airlift and increase connectivity to the islands of the Bahamas. Earlier in this year, the Deputy Prime Minister, as a part of the 2023 goals, gave us a mandate to increase overall arrivals by some 20%, to increase seat capacity, to increase frequency, to increase the amount of inaugurals. At the end of this year, we can be very proud, again, I believe, at the record-breaking amount of inaugurals to the islands of the Bahamas. So we are starting at the beginning of November with this JetBlue inaugural. We are very excited about the Bahamas Air inaugural from Fort Lauderdale into Georgetown on the 15th of November. We are excited about the non-traditional airlines like a JSX. That's almost a private luxury feeling type of airline that's coming again from Dallas to Miami direct into Mars Harbor. We would have spoken about American Airlines, direct airlift, February 2024, Fort Lauderdale into Governor's Harbor. So we're looking at our traditional legacy carriers, your Americans, your Delta. We're looking at airlift out of Seattle. But we're looking at airlift also into our family islands. Because, Jerome, I think the persons must understand that the Bahamas is plural for a reason. And while 75% of our visitors really come into Nassau, we have seen unprecedented increase in terms of demand and overall arrivals into our family islands. So this is an holistic strategy. Again, we have increasing airlift through our non-traditional airlift, your amphibious airlift. We're looking at seaplanes. It's interesting, 104 years ago, the history of aviation in the Bahamas began with chalks into Bimini. So we are looking at reimagining what a diversified airlift looks like, amphibious airlift. We are again looking at your vertical airlifts, your luxury helicopters that brings your high net worth clients in the Baker's Bay into Bimini. We're looking at a transformative agenda. The Deputy Prime Minister calls it the renaissance, again, of our family islands. And all of this comes again through a focus on airlift, your stopovers, your heads and beds, that is really going to translate into significant economic benefit for all of the islands of the Bahamas.
So expansion is the name of the game. We like the ring of regional leader. And with that, we returned to our gate. The energy was still infectious, not just among the travelers, but also among LAX airport and JetBlue executives. Their enthusiasm mirrored that of the passengers, symbolizing the significance of this new link between LA and the Bahamas. The opening ceremony marked the official commencement of that journey. Boarding the flight, passengers were eager to explore new horizons and experience the adventures awaiting them. In just under 5 hours, the flight journeyed across the sky, whisking passengers to the mystical shores of the Bahamas. Well, the inaugural flight not only marked a new route, but also symbolized the fusion of cultures, the excitement of exploration, and the promise of strengthened ties between two distinct yet connected worlds. As the wheels touched down at LPIA, passengers stepped onto Bahamian soil with a sense of adventure and anticipation, embodying the spirit of connectivity and cultural exchange that this inaugural flight represented. Well, a special thanks to the Ministry of Tourism and JetBlue for having us, and the City of Inglewood for accommodating us, and thank you, of course, for joining us. We'll see you next time on another episode of On the Record.